Namaste, yogis. This is a gentle or level 1 practice to refine tree pose and to work all the aspects of a full tree without necessarily taking full tree. A full tree pose, you actually would have one of your legs in half lotus, you bind holding the foot, and then you forward fold all the way to the floor, which is quite challenging for even the best yogis. So we'll work into these ideas. Your body doesn't know if it's done the full pose or not. It knows that it's done all these different aspects, and we can get into all the aspects quite easily. We'll begin in a restorative version of tree pose, lying on the back. Bring your right foot to your left ankle and rest. If you get pain at all in the knee or the hip, you could place a block and make it even more modified. Usually this first variation is pretty doable because the angle isn't so steep. Rest your hands on your hips. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. Begin to slow your breath down. Breathing through your nose. And aim towards allowing yourself to exhale a few beats longer than you inhale. So if you're inhaling for 3 or 4 counts, exhale for 5 or 7 counts. You can help the breath increase by pausing at the bottom of each of your exhales for a beat or 2 before starting the next inhale. If it feels fine in your body, now move your right foot up to the inner left knee area. So you're making your tree a little more pronounced. You're increasing the flexion and range of motion at the hip. Because it's a different angle, you may need to use a block here, or maybe you don't need to use the block. See how it feels in your body. And return to slowing your breath down. The mythology around tree pose or Vrikshasana is to do with the god and goddess Sita and Rama, who are married. And the king Ravana captures Sita and takes her off, but she refuses to be with him. So he gives her a year to change her mind. And she's put outside to sit underneath the tree, the Oshaka tree, which is a healing tree. And she sits against the tree supporting her spine. And as she moves into a meditative state, the tree keeps reminding her to stay calm and to hold the intention of reuniting with Rama. Because she holds the intention like a yogi, her desire travels up and out the top of the tree so that the Hanuman monkey god can find her and set her free. So tree pose reminds us as yogis to be grounded, to practice stillness and meditation, and to focus our passion, our intentions to grow into higher potential. You can move your foot up even higher now if you like, towards the top of your thigh. And we'll just be here for about 3 more breaths. The story also gives us this idea of the male and the female energy balancing out. The tree trunk is like your spine. Flex your left foot and draw your right knee in. So the spine gives us a left and a right, but it also gives us support and upward growth against gravity pressing down. Good. Exhale, draw yourself up, hugging your knee, reach your arms forward, and then lift your left leg up. Point your toes and turn the top of your thigh in. Your neck is bothering you, lie down. Flex your foot, turn your thigh out. You really want to challenge yourself, heel to heel for a breath. Back in, relax your left leg, and then twist your right knee across your body for a Parivar Tanasana. It's a deep twist, so you might notice that your right shoulder lifts a little bit. That's okay. If you press your leg down, you'll emphasize some opening across the front of your chest. If you press your right shoulder down and don't press your knee down, you might feel a deeper stretch to the hip. So it's just, what do you feel like you want to emphasize? Exhale, draw your right knee in, place your right foot down, come back through center, release your right leg, bend your left knee and bring your left foot to your right ankle. It's very soft tree pose. Letting gravity open the hips. Relax your arms anywhere that feels good. Sometimes your shoulders will let go if you move your hands a little further away from your hips. You may already be noticing a difference on this side. You may need the block on this side and you didn't need it on side one. Return to noticing your breath, gently encouraging yourself to extend your exhales, and perhaps even pausing at the bottom of your next 5 exhalations. If you feel ready, go ahead and draw your knee up, your foot up a little higher to the inside of your right knee. If that feels too deep, stay with the first variation. And you might scooch your foot up even higher, closer to the top of your thigh. Now, I didn't talk about this on side one, but because of the angle of the leg, especially as it travels higher up, you probably feel lighter through your right hip. Not such a big deal here. When we stand up, it's going to become something that we might want to look at. On your next exhale, stretch your right leg straight, flex the foot, and draw your left knee into your chest. Apanasana, stay here, absolutely. Or for a little bit of abdominal challenge, lift your upper body up, reach forward. Stay here. Or point your right toes, lift your leg and turn your thigh in. Turn it out, flex your foot, maybe touch your left heel to your right, draw back in, and then release back down. A little scooch of your hips over to the left as you draw your knee across to the right for twist. You can work on moving the left shoulder down. You can work on bringing the left knee closer to the earth. One probably feels nicer. Let's go with what feels good for now. I like to say, no matter how strong or soft a practice is, it should ultimately feel good. Exhale, turn to your right side and go ahead and sit up. Cross your right shin in front of your left shin. Easy seated pose. If this is challenging for you, just sitting on the floor, and it is for many of us, then go ahead and let your legs be long. If you're someone who finds this quite easy, you could progress to a much deeper hip opener for most of us by taking your right ankle across your left knee, Agni Sambhasana, fire log pose. It's important that the foot crosses so that there's no sickle. And even though my hips are open, they're not as open as they used to be. You can fill in the gap with a block or a blanket. But not necessary to take it here. Reach down through your fingertips. Lengthen your left arm all the way up and get as long as you can. The longer you get through your side body, the more clearance you'll have to roll your shoulder back, turn your thumb down as you bring the arm behind your back in the direction of your right waistline. You use your right fingers here to clasp your hand, and then you might be able to get a little bit more around your back. Draw your right elbow back, draw your rib cage back, draw your head back, and then release your right ear towards your right shoulder. Soften, breathe. Let your hips feel soft. Your spine is long, only the neck is bowing over to the right. Roll your chin towards your chest. Lengthen your arms straight back behind you. Lift your heart. Good. Release. Take your right leg to the right and either bring your left foot to your ankle, little softer angle, to your knee, little deeper angle, or all the way up. Reach your right arm behind yourself. Reach your left arm up by your ear, and then turn your chest to the right. Exhale, bring your left hand across your body, hold pretty high up on your leg, and twist. Extend your inner right knee down and forward as you twist. What we want to avoid here is letting ourselves slump in like this, but you could perhaps shift forward from your hip, and then you might be able to reach your arm a little further down your leg. We're staying more upright here, not going all the way into Janu Shirsasana. Rising up, reach into your left hand and turn your right leg forward. Reach your right arm up and over. You can also lift up onto your left knee. It's like a variation of tree pose, really, in a side plank. And you could always lift your left foot up for a variation of tree in a side plank. Lower the knee if it's lifted. Lower your bum if it's lifted. And then let both of your legs go wide as they can comfortably. Flex your feet and pull your pinky toes back. That's that external rotation again. Hold your legs, keep your spine long, lean a little bit forward. Lift your chest up to the crown of your head, out of your pelvis. For some of us, this is a little more accessible than when the knee is bent. And for some of us with the knee bent, it's more accessible. Draw your right leg in, then your left leg, easy cross-legged seat. Or if you want something deeper right out of the gate, cross your left ankle over your right knee. Fill in the gap if you need to. Lengthen your right arm all the way up. Turn your palm out, lift. Lift your shoulder blade up. So get that range of motion. Reach your arm behind your back towards your left waistline. Take your left fingers, interlace so that you can maybe pull your arm a little bit around. Draw your left elbow back. Draw your ribs back. Lengthen your spine up. And exhale, left ear, left shoulder. Just the head bending, no torso. Chin to chest, reach your arms back behind you, lift your chest slightly. And then take your left leg out. Bring your right foot anywhere along that chain that feels good for you. Reach your right arm up and balance into your left hand behind. Twist your chest to the left. Flex your right foot. Extend through your inner left knee. And then hinge forward from your hips. Hold. You can go a little further, but think more up through the crown of your head rather than trying to get your nose to your knee, as this pose is called. Inhale, rise up. Reach your right hand down. Turn your left leg long. Reach your left arm up and over. I've been doing a lot more side work lately because we tend to be a little bit weak here. And then lift up your butt if you want a little more work. And you can even float your foot up for a side plank tree. Not necessarily gentle, but good work. And then from here, lower down, toes together, knees wide, child's pose. So believe it or not, you've done every aspect really of tree, pretty much close to, except for the balancing part and the lotus part. Inhale, lift up to hands and knees, tuck your toes and lift your hips up for a downward facing dog. And as an experiment today, turn your heels out and your toes in. That's an inner rotation at the top of the thighs. Take about 3 or 4 breaths, noticing how it feels to do down dog with your feet turning in and your heels turning out. Now bring your heels together and your toes out and notice how this feels. Keep pushing your hands forward. It's so easy in yoga to feel like the poses have to be done the same way every time, but that's really not the truth. Your body can do lots of different positions and have lots of different experiences, and they're going to give you something unique. All right. Walk your feet forward or your hands backwards so that you're in a standing forward fold. Let your head hang heavy for a couple of breaths. If you have blocks, it might be nice to have them underneath your hands to bring the floor a little closer to you. Inhale, lift your chest up and lengthen. Bring your right heel to your left ankle and turn your right leg open so that you're in that very first modified tree pose we did restoratively. And then go ahead and drop your head down. So you're in a folding hands to the floor blocks variation of tree pose. Neck is soft. Release. Second side. Turn your left foot out, bring your heel to your ankle, hands to the floor blocks. Tree variation of standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Keep letting your shoulders relax. 2 more breaths. And release. Press into your feet. Sweep your arms all the way up. Rise up. And draw your hands to your heart. Separate your feet now. A pretty wide stance. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Be mindful that you don't rotate your foot more than your hip actually rotates. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, squat. Warming up the hips a little bit more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, squat. Inhale, reach. Exhale, squat. We'll do 3 more cycles. Great. Pause in your squat. You want to challenge yourself a little. Heels lift. 2 breaths. Press your heels down. If they're lifted, straighten your legs. Turn your left foot in and turn your right foot to the top or the short end of your mat. Let your left leg come with you. Let your left hip come with you. Bend. So you're sort of in between what feels like a warrior 1 and a warrior 2. Open your arms out. I'm teaching it like that because it's a little safer. Warrior 2, upper body. Take your right arm up. Lengthen out of your waistline and then roll your arm behind your back around to your left hip. Use your left fingers to scooch around, draw your elbow back, and you might add the neck stretch, left ear, left shoulder. Lift your head. Extend through your leg. Turn both of your feet forward. Reach your arms back. Lift your chest up. If it feels safe to you, go ahead and forward fold. You can keep a slight bend in your knees, but work towards straight legs if you can. Release your hands all the way down. Lift up and lengthen. Flat spine, legs basically straight. Press your left hand down, reach your right arm up for a twist, and then take your right arm behind your back wherever it lands. One more time, drop your left ear down. Roll your right shoulder back and press your left thigh to the left. Release, bring both hands down, bend your knees, bring your hands to your thighs and stand up. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out, turn your hips to the short end, probably the back of your mat or whichever direction you're facing. Feel this lunge position and then turn your chest open warrior two. Reach your left arm up out of your waistline. Swim your arm back. So the bigger the circle back, the more clearance you get to bring it back to your right hip. And use your right fingers to nestle it further in. Elbow back, warrior two, with a clasp, right ear, right shoulder. I'm a big fan of multitasking. So working the legs, opening the neck, opening the shoulders. Straighten your left leg, turn your feet forward, reach your arms back behind. You can always stay upright if that's better for you. Otherwise, forward fold, exhale. Release your hands. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, reach your left arm to the sky. Take your arm behind your back. There's that half bind again. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder as you roll your left shoulder open and press your right hip a little to the right. If I give you anything that doesn't feel right, just don't do it. There are ideas, there are refinements that may or may not enhance the pose for you. Nothing to get wrong, and there's nothing to get right. It's just you, your body, and your breath in this moment. Release, bend your knees, press into your hands, and rise all the way up. Walk your feet in. So I'm going to give you some variations. A lovely tree variation, I think it's easier if the block is on the medium setting. It can be a little wobbly on the high setting, is to bring the block to one side, and in this case, step your right foot onto the block. This gives you a nice angle versus keeping your heel at your left ankle. So this is great. I love this variation, but this might get you a little deeper into the hip, and then you don't have to work so hard to support. Now I'm turning around so that you can see one thing that happens in tree pose, especially as we start to take the leg higher up. You're taking the leg all the way up. We often pull the hip around to open the leg, but you want your hips to be level. So you keep the hips level and you press the thigh open. Squeeze your left buttock in, and then perhaps grow your branches up. Whenever I practice Vrikshasana, I think of this poem that I read. It was on my daughter's 8th grade teacher's board. It was Poem to a Tree. Stand tall, be proud. Drink plenty of H2O. Remember your roots. Go out on a limb. Enjoy the view. To me, that poem, Bring Your Hands to Your Heart, signifies the power of intention and perspective. Side 2. So with the block, angle your leg out, stand on the block, doesn't get better than that, or foot at the ankle. You're taking the higher variations. Be mindful that you're not turning the hip in an effort to open your left leg. So you'll get some resistance. If you keep the hip still, you'll find a sticking point. And that's a better way to figure out what your actual rotation of your hip is there, your degrees. Perhaps you're growing your tree limbs up. Hug your right hip in. Even though the arms are growing up, keep everything soft in the neck and the shoulders. If it feels better to bring your arms out wide, that's a nice variation. Bring hands together at the heart. Release. Both feet forward, palms forward. Head back, ribs contained. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Imagine in this Tadasana that you're right up against a huge tree trunk. It's supporting your head. It's supporting the back of your heart. It's supporting the buttocks and maybe part of your legs. Your feet are sensing the earth. The tree is supporting you. The upwardness of the tree is making you feel like you can grow a little taller in the support. And imagine the branches at the top of the tree, way high above you, reaching out in all directions, as though you were gazing out in all directions in a wide, wide open, far off horizon, reminding you of the big picture and perspective. From here, open your eyes if they've been closed. Inhale, circle your arms to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands to the floor and step yourself back into down dog or even a child's pose. If you want something a little more challenging, in dog, turn your right knee out, place your right foot at your left ankle, and you're in a low tree. You could shift into plank pose holding the low tree. And then back to dog. If you're in child's pose, rest. And then do the other side. If you're in dog, turn your left foot out, right at your ankle. Inhale, shift forward to plank for just a breath. And exhale back. And then coming down to child's pose. Walk yourself up to a seat and come onto your back. So we still haven't done the lotus aspect. Let's see what happens. Come onto your back with your knees bent. Hug your right knee into your chest and point your right toes. Turn your right knee open and hold the outer edge of your right ankle with your left hand. You can rock back and forth here across your body. Kind of rock across your body until you feel that your right foot is passing over your left hip. This may be the pose for you. If you can, bring your right heel up towards your left hip crease. You want to be on the outside and start to press your right knee forward. This may be enough for you. You may have already decided, I'd rather do eye of the needle pose here. Okay, so that would be nice. Or extend your left leg long as you reach your right knee forward into half lotus or Ardha Padmasana. Release. Take a mini Shavasana here. Let both legs relax and notice your hips. Bend your knees. Hug your left knee into your chest. Point your toes. Angle your knee out. Hold your outer left foot with your right hand and perhaps rock side to side a few times here. Oiling up the hip. And you can hold across. You may prefer to just go right into eye of the needle pose, which will give you a nice hip opener, which we've done a fair amount now. Or taking your foot just to the outer edge of your right hip crease, hold, and reach your leg forward, your knee forward. This feels okay. You can extend your right leg long and then reach the knee more forward. Good. Come back through center. Relax both of your legs all the way down into the mat. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. Let the shoulders soften. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, do. And just as that massive tree trunk was supporting you, feel the support of the earth behind your head, behind your shoulders and the back of your arms and the back of your hands. Heavy through both sides of the buttocks. You may notice one side of your hip feels lighter than the other. If it does, invite a feeling of gravity or support into the lighter hip. Back of your legs, calves, heels, all being supported. Notice how your body lets go a little more deeply when you feel the support of the earth. If you can rest longer, do. If you need to close practice, begin to invite the breath a little more deeply as you observe it in your body. Might even set the intention to notice or stop throughout your day or evening. Just reconnect to the imagery of the tree for support and also for desire and passion to grow, to connect to your highest self. If you're closing practice seated, take your time, movement into a comfortable seat. Inhale, circle your arms up, join palms together, and exhale, bowing head in to close practice. Such an honor. Inhale through your nose, exhale out of your mouth. Namaste.